Welcome into the CSS DFS podcast, Fantasy Focus Football. You can find us on video every Thursday on ESPN NFL's YouTube feed, and our podcast is presented by Geico. You can download Fantasy Focus wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Daniel Dopp. To my left is Roy Kent, also known as Mike Clay. Hello, Roy. On the other side of the world from me is beautiful Ted Lasso. Hello, Ted.
Good morning there, Daniel. How you doing today?
Wow. I got to be honest. I'm pretty good with you being super positive Ted Lasso, Al. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you know, Daniel, I've had a really good week. I feel like I fell out of the lucky tree and hit every branch on the way down. Ended up in like a pile of cash and Sour Patch Kids.
I think that is probably accurate based on the week that you have had. If you don't follow at Al Zeidenfeld on Twitter, you should, one. Also, I just want to say this. You should also follow Al on either Twitch or YouTube. Al, where can other people follow you? Because you have had a very good streak for those that care about DFS, and this is, in fact, a DFS show. So let's give the people some love.
Oh, thank you very much. Twitch.tv/Al_Smizzle and YouTube.com/A Zeidenfeld, first initial, last name.
Do you mind if we say what happened? What did you brought home
Go for it.
140K in the Monday Night Showdown? Is that correct?
Yeah. So Friday night in NBA, I won like $30,000. And then Sunday main slate, I won like $25,000. And then I took down the Monday Night Showdown with the ugliest game in history and the ugliest lineup in history, and won $140,000 on Monday night. So it's been a good week.
That sounds like a really great week. And you give out advice on this show to people for free?
Absolutely free.
That's incredible.
I tried to see if I could do it, for less than that, but like I can't do better than
they
free.
wouldn't do better than free. Interesting.
That's how he afforded such a good costume. That adds up
now. Let's really quickly talk about our Week 7 recap. Mike's lineup was not great. My lineup was not as bad as Mike's lineup. Also,
yeah,
not
actually,
great.
I put our actual scores on here. Mine is bad. Yours is not as bad.
That's true.
So that was.
So I did get the
week.
W. I did get the W. I actually did pretty well. Otherwise, I didn't do great with this show lineup, but I did pretty okay with it.
Yeah, that's weird too, because I feel like I had a good week. Like our value plays were all pretty good, but my lineup
just didn't work out.
Sometimes it didn't happen.
Like that.
I did the. I believe I settled on the Ryan Ridley stack. And that we talked about that in cash, right? Sometimes a receiver and the quarterback are the best value plays, and you could put them together, and it works out as you're like, all right, I'm feeling good about that battery, that stack. But if it doesn't work out, if that's what goes wrong, you lost 2/9 of your lineup, and that hurts. So it's just one of them weeks. We win almost every week. We do well, but we got to take the L's when they happen. It's inevitable.
Smithfield Hokie 211 came home with the big win last week in the free league over at DraftKings Fantasy Focus. It's free to enter, $200 in prizes. Follow at Mike Clay NFL, at Daniel Dopp on Twitter. Mike usually tweets out a link. I will retweet Mike's link with my lineup because I know you guys want to see the actual lineup you should play. So we bury Mike's underneath my quote tweet, and you can just play my lineup.
Yeah, I'm a harder worker. I do the work. Get the link out there. That's what happens.
That's right, Mike Clay. Listen, it's not your fault, but let's talk about some quarterbacks where I am so excited that we are doing this. Teddy Bridgewater, $5,400. I think he is making his debut on CSS DFS, unless I'm wrong. Teddy Bridgewater, Jerry Jeudy coming back in this offense, taking on the Washington football team. Seems like if you want to find a place to spend a little bit less money, this is a really great spot to do it.
Yeah, I agree, Coach Beard. Look, 24 quarterbacks on this slate, and he is priced 17th.
That's low.
Going up against Washington. Look, he's had a pretty high floor, and we've talked about this, right? High floor is so important in cash. 18-plus points in 4 games, 12-plus in all 6 of his full games. Now, he left one injured, but the full games he's hit 12. And look, his price point's $5,400, so it's not terribly far off where we need to get to, right? Just be a little bit better than that, and at least we pay off his salary this week of $5,400. So that's notable. 12th in passing touchdowns he is this season, 4th in completion rate, the 4th highest average depth of throw, right? So again, he's pushing it downfield. That allows bigger plays, and it aligns with Courtland Sutton, of course, who's number 1 in the entire NFL in air yards. Also, Jerry Jeudy's back, which is only going to help his cause. Certainly, that's a big upgrade there, going from like a Kendall Hinton, right, who's borderline practice squad player, to Jerry Jeudy, a big difference. Also, of course, the key here, why is he a streamer and season long? Why is he a great DFS value? It is the Washington defense. Most fantasy points and passing touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks this season. Already 19. They've already got 19 touchdowns to quarterbacks, 23 plus in 6 straight quarterbacks. All were top 10 fantasy finishes. The only exception, the only guy that didn't put up 23 against him is Justin Herbert. He still had 337 passing yards in that game. So you can throw on this team. Bridgewater will be busy. I think he's a terrific play.
Okay, love that play. Interested to see how maybe some stacks work out if we want to look at that route, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, with Judy and Sutton, absolutely.
Yeah. Al, let's talk about Matt Ryan. $5,700 last week looked pretty nice with both Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts looking good. This week taking on the Carolina Panthers for what could be another one of these sneaky shootout games in the NFC South.
I mean, you get that basically any time that Atlanta plays a game, right? Because they just throw the ball so much, and their defense is not good. This is what we had last year with Dallas, where they threw the ball a ton. Their defense really wasn't that efficient either. Atlanta's the second pass-heaviest red zone offense in the league, and that kind of meshes well with Carolina because opponents are completing like 71% of red zone passes against them, which is the sixth highest in the league. And Carolina is allowing a league-high 12.6 drives per game. So we're going to get a lot of bites at the apple with a Matt Ryan-led offense. And we know that efficiency, not volume, is what leads to quarterback scoring in fantasy. But when you have an efficient quarterback like Matt Ryan, who's also throwing it 40-plus times per game, you're getting, again, a lot of bites at the apple. A very condensed target tree as well. Basically, Ridley, Gage, the tight end Pitts, and you got to add Cordero Patterson into that as well, who ran more routes and played more snaps last week. Love him for tournament play, and he kind of opens things up as well because he's only 5,700.
Love that. All right, a couple of the quarterbacks we want to talk about. Josh Allen, $8,100 taking on Miami.
Yeah, if you can afford it, he's the play, right? He is ideal. I talked about one of your discount options, but if you could find a way to get Josh Allen in there, especially with what he's done the past month or so, but also what he's done against Miami in his career, he is every game against Miami, he dominates. It's unbelievable, even as a rookie. So we talked about that, I believe, on the Week 2 show when they played the first time about how good he was against Miami.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. All right, another guy we like, Jalen Hurts, $7,200 taking on my Detroit Lions. Do I need to give stats as to why you should play Jalen Hurts against the Detroit Lions, or just as Detroit Lions?
No, but as an Eagles fan, I'm worried might be the Lions' win.
This could be the trap game.
Yeah,
I'm
nervous about that.
Also, like Tom Brady, $7,400 at the New Orleans Saints. I will say this really quickly. It doesn't make a difference whether or not the Lions get a W because Jalen Hurts just puts up fantasy points as a quarterback. You know what I mean?
This is true.
So for you, it will hurt. However, for Jalen Hurts fantasy managers, it should hopefully be another big day based on how bad that Lions defense is.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Hurts, you're kind of hoping the Lions are up throughout the game.
Yes.
And it's just constant trying to score points like he has the past few weeks. He's done most of his damage in comeback or / trash time situations. That's been the Hurts story so far.
All right, let's talk about some running backs here and where you get volume, you get production with Najee Harris, $7,500 taken on the Cleveland Browns. Mike, tell me what you like about Najee Harris here this week against the Browns.
Yeah, not the easiest matchup on paper, as I'll get to in a second. But again, you can't talk enough about the usage that he has had this season. First of all, RB4 on the slate. He's just underpriced compared to those other top backs, and he's getting the volume they're getting. Like Derrick Henry's $1,400 more expensive. Alvin Kamara is $1,200 more expensive. It's just he's way too low. Should he be behind them? Sure. Should he be that far behind them? No, and that's what makes him such a good value. 17 carries, 7.7 targets per game.
That's great.
Outstanding usage. It's not far off a guy like it might be ahead of Kamara, honestly, his usage right now. It's got to be pretty close. Even with the bye. So, right, they had a week off. He was relaxing last week watching the games at home. He's still sixth at running back in carries and expected touchdowns. Second in targets and receptions at running back, and third in touches. With a week off, I mean, that just shows you the massive amount of usage he is getting. 19-plus fantasy points in 5 straight before the bye, averaging 23 a game during that span. And again, the Browns against running backs, really dominant early in the season. They haven't been quite as good the past couple of weeks, and that's why I feel a little bit better about this. 28-plus fantasy points to the Chargers. Austin Eckler had that huge game against them, and Denver also they had a rough game against them as well. Also allowed 135 yards to the Arizona running backs. So over the past 3 weeks, we've seen some cracks in the armor, if you will. So I think but I don't think we need to be too worried about the matchup, and we know the volume will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask Thirsty Kyle to look this up for us. I think DeAndre Swift is first in the NFL in running back targets. I'm just curious where Najee Harris falls on that list. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure DeAndre Swift is first.
He is second.
He is second?
Yeah, see, if you were listening to me.
Who was first?
I don't know. I didn't say. I just said he's second.
Oh, okay.
Harris is second, even with the bye week.
I believe that we are going to talk about DeAndre Swift next, and he is first. Al, is that the case? At $7,100 taking on the Eagles, that DeAndre Swift with a head coach who came over from New Orleans, and we heard about this, and I think we're finally starting to see a little bit of it. This is like Alvin Kamara light usage for DeAndre Swift in this Lions offense.
That's a dynamite toss, Daniel, because he does look to me to be getting exactly the usage that Alvin Kamara got the last 2 seasons. Not Alvin Kamara from this year where they were just piling carries on him, but like 12 to 15 carries, 6 to 10 targets every single game. And that's extremely valuable on DraftKings. That's exactly what we want. And when you add in that Swift, you just mentioned how many receptions he has more catches this season than Jamar Chase. Have you heard of him? He's pretty good. People like playing him, and like people don't want to play. They keep writing all these narratives for themselves. I think DeAndre Swift was like 7.5% last week in the Millionaire Maker, which is absurd when he was 6K. 20% price hike. I don't care, because I mentioned that he is getting the usage and role that Alvin Kamara used to get. So now he's 7,100. And Alvin Kamara last year was like 85 to 9,500. So I feel he's still at a massive discount. But I'm going to kick it back to you, Daniel, because Daniel wants to talk about some players that he believes are going to be good this week. But I would just rather they just believe in themselves.
Oh, my gosh. I love you, Al, for the record. DeAndre Swift is a $5 running back this week, right? They might not be favored.
No, they're not
three-point underdogs.
He's checked off 4 of the 5.
Four of the five boxes.
That's really the only concern is what happens if they are leading the Eagles in this game, which is a real possibility. It would not surprise me if they're up 10 points throughout a lot of this game.
37% of the yards that the Eagles have given up have come on the ground. It's like the 4th most in the league. So like even if they get ahead, it's because probably DeAndre Swift has done really, really good things. They've also given up like the 2nd most amounts of targets to the running back. So this is a great spot for DeAndre Swift.
Love that.
Yeah, it could be. I'm just worried it's 13-3 and Jamal Williams gets to 18 carries in this game. That's really the only possibility, the only concern. Honestly, you want them to be in his situation, the way he plays, you want them to be behind, right? Because of what he can do in the passing game. It's kind of unique and a little different from the five category running backs.
It hurts. It hurts when you want your team to play from behind because you have so much DeAndre Swift exposure. But it's like I need them to be losing in order for my fantasy teams to win. And I know the Lions probably aren't going to win. So the one win I'm going to get is in fantasy. So that's what I'm looking for.
Maybe they'll win 43-40. Who knows?
Maybe. All right, a couple of the running backs that we like here. Derrick Henry finally back under $9,000 after a stinker last week. Some would call it. What was his? What's his floor? Like 17.5 fantasy
something
points.
Like that. Yeah.
Something stupid. Darrell Henderson, $6,500, taking on the Texans. DeAndre Swift, we mentioned him, $7,100. Khalil Herbert, $5,400 against San Francisco, really cheap if you like that. James Robinson, $6,600 against Seattle as well. Robinson has at least 4 straight games with at least 75 total yards and a touchdown. That's pretty great if you ask me. I'm excited to see what they do this week against Seattle. All right, Mike, we're going to take a minute and give a word from our sponsors.
Hey, football fans, American football fans, right?
You say however you want.
Not this football.
Yeah, not that football.
Hey, American football fans, we have an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. It's called Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code FFF and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use promo code FFF to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank.
But Mike, this is only 25 cents a gallon. How much can people even be making?
Well, look, some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200 to $300 a month in cash back. And there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account.
Amazing.
You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, I have that, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. I use Amazon.
Yep.
Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FFF to get up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code FFF. I love free money.
It honestly does just sound like free money, I'm going to be honest. Do you own or rent your home?
Yep.
Sure you do, and I'll bet it can be hard work. But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around the house. So go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Boom.
All right, wide receiver, and I'm glad we're starting here because we should just start here every week.
Yeah, why not?
Like Cooper Kupp, $9,000, taking on the Houston Texans. $9,000 is a huge amount of money. but he also gets a huge amount of targets, and every week Matthew Stafford's looking for him.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're looking. Okay, he's 9,000. Loose math here. We're looking for 3x, right? That's 27 points. I mean, he gets there. He gets to that number, and he can blow right by it too. He is 4 times. They played 7 games 4 times. He's gotten to 30 this season. The guy is just dominating. Whenever I'm picking out the guys I want to talk about, I'm trying to maybe I'll dig a little deeper. He's too obvious, but sometimes that high-priced guy is still valued at his price. And, I mean, you think about what we're willing to pay for Christian McCaffrey in past years and even Devontae Adams last year. And Kupp I believe he's on pace to outscore Adams, what he did last season. I mean, he has been that good. Again, he is the most expensive receiver, but we think it's worth it. He's the number 1 scoring receiver by 40 points. It's about 5.2 points per game. Think about that. That's a pretty substantial number. And he is a zone beater, okay? 93 fantasy points against zone this year, right? 24 wide receivers have 93 fantasy points total this season. He just has that against zone defenses. And, of course, Houston 6th highest in zone defense. They run a lot of cover, too. It just plays right into Cooper Kupp's game. Texans, again, they're behind often, right? So
that's polite.
Okay, yeah, and maybe that won't be the case going forward now that Tyrod Taylor's back, but they have faced the 5th fewest wide receiver targets, but they are top 5 in yards per target allowed and catch rate allowed. So even if maybe the volume's down a little bit, maybe instead of 14 targets, he gets 12 this week, the efficiency should be very good. We know he gets scoring opportunities. At $9K, he's worth the price.
Absolutely. I mean, he makes for a great stack, it feels like, every week with Matthew Stafford as well. Al, we're going to talk about a Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver here, not named Jamar Chase. Actually, You're talking about T. Higgins, $5,200 taking on the New York Jets this week. T. Higgins has struggled. In fact, everyone not named Jamar Chase feels like has struggled a little bit in that Bengals offense. Yeah. But what do you like about T this week?
Well, the unrequited air yards.
What? Wait a minute.
Basically.
Al, he just said, what do you like about T?
Yeah.
Come on,
man.
I
don't like T. Oh, darn it.
Yeah,
the one quote I didn't have on hand.
You missed the
one quote I didn't have. It's just sadness in a cup.
I cannot believe you missed that.
Oh, man. I had a whole bit ready to go for T. Higgins, too.
Dang it.
Man. All right, go ahead. Do your bit. It's all lost cause now, but
all
go ahead.
Ruined now. I'm so mad at myself.
The show is just cancel the show.
I'm off the rails at this point. Look,
we're not getting our Emmy now.
Has T. Higgins done well so far this year, Daniel?
No,
he has not. So, you got to have a short memory in this game. You know what the happiest animal in the world is?
Goldfish.
A goldfish, because it's got a 10-second memory, and that's something that's very positive for us here in daily fantasy. T. Higgins is $5,200. He's way cheaper than Jamar Chase, and all of those unrequited air yards that we had talked about, where he got 15 targets last week, consistently getting targeted. Good red zone targets. Jamar Chase keeps scoring from beyond the 20-yard line, as Mike will tell you with expected fantasy points and OTD stats, that the red zone targets, end zone targets, and targets inside the 10-yard line are the ones that are a lot more valuable. And this week, he gets to go to New York and face the MESS, mess. And I think that this is going to be a really good spot. But it's a challenge because you want to take Jamar Chase. As you said, you don't want to play T. Higgins. And, look, taking on a challenge is kind of like riding a horse. If it feels comfortable, you probably aren't doing it right.
I'm so glad. There's a lot of preparation involved in today's show.
Damn
it. But he still missed it. Still missed the T. He missed the T. You know what? I always thought
anybody's gonna remember is that I missed the T
so good
layup.
I thought T was brown water, and guess what?
What?
I was right.
You were right. You were right. Let's talk about a couple more wide receivers. Chris Godwin, $6,400 taking on the New Orleans Saints. I want to say this really quickly. I'm sure you listened to the season-long show if you listen to the DFS show. However, we had a great conversation over there about wide receiver cornerback matchup this week with Mike Evans taking with Marshawn Lattimore on the other side. Why Chris Godwin might be a nice play this week. Yep. $6,400 feels like a good price for him.
Yeah, he was not on this list until Brown was essentially ruled out, maybe long-term. And now Godwin is a tremendous play at his price.
Great value. Brandon Cooks, $5,700 against the Rams.
Yeah, keep going back to that well. Tyrod can be back. Yep.
Debo Samuel, $7,400 taking on the Bears. Jerry Jeudy, first week back, $4,900 against Washington. T. Higgins, who Al just mentioned, $5,200. Emmanuel Sanders, $5,400 against Miami. If you're looking for someone a little bit cheaper than Stephon Diggs to stack Josh Allen with. Devontae Parker, $4,900 against Buffalo. And DJ Moore, $7,200 against Atlanta. Multiple red zone looks in 3 straight weeks Season high 111 yards last week for Chris Godwin. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
quick note there on Parker. He's coming off the injury. He's expected to play. He's missed the last, I believe it's 3 games. Buffalo's a really tough matchup. I don't think Tre'Davious White will shadow him. He hasn't the past couple of matchups, and Parker did not do much in week 2 when they played. But before that, the previous, I believe it was 4 straight games, he put up pretty good numbers against him. So I don't feel super great about him in cash because you just worry that, again, how well Buffalo is, it could be a dud. But maybe in a tournament, nobody's going to want somebody playing Buffalo, and he's cheap. I mean, that might not be a bad guy to get a little exposure to.
Absolutely. I like that idea. All right, let's talk about some tight ends. Cheaper tight ends here. I want to start really quickly. Guy not listed on here. And you guys can just tell me it's totally ridiculous, but I'm just going to say it as just a person that watches football. Kyle Pitts is in a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver. So, I get it, Al and Mike. I want to know just from this perspective. Kyle Pitts is in a tight end to me. So when I see his price point at a certain point, I'm thinking hey, he's a guy that can I play him in the flex and play a tight end in the tight end spot because I don't think he's a tight end in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a ridiculous thought to have?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I'm
most
not,
weeks.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry. Most weeks I don't allow for tight end and flex because they just don't have the upside as you're talking about. They usually just catch the ball, fall down sort of guys. They don't have big playability. But that's not Kyle Pitts in the way that he's being utilized. It's also not. So I would use him comparatively to other wide receivers in that price point, and I might allow a player like him or Kelsey in other weeks to be in the flex, but I'm not going to go 2 tight end with just 2 other random tight ends.
Totally
so I'm
got
very specific with the tight ends I'd allow.
100%. We've just seen Kyle Pitts really come on. I mean, he started out slow, but he's looked great the last couple of weeks. Just doesn't look like a tight end to me. He's like a wide receiver out there.
Yeah, no doubt. And if you could find a way to fire him up, he's the highest priced tight end on this slate. There's a lot of the top end guys are out this week on a bye or injured, whatever it may be, not playing in a primetime game. So he's not on our list here, but I mean, certainly he's an option for you.
It's just a question, lineup strategy question, understanding that tight end is not Al said. Normally you don't play 2 tight ends for a lot of reasons. So
right. There's that position continues to evolve, and
yes.
he's becoming a very unique player.
Mike, let's talk about Jared Cook, $3,400 taking on the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert here, is that what it is? Is that more that offense?
Yeah, it's certainly part of it. Also, tight end's kind of ugly this week. I'm not too happy about it. I ran my projections through the prices, and a lot of punts popped out as options, as we're going to get to here. I know Al's going that direction as well. And Jared Cook's one of them. He's only 3,400. You could do a lot with him in your tight end slot and build around him with some star players as a little foreshadowing there. He's only 13th in pricing. He's about half the cost of Kyle Pitts, right? Which I think that gap is just too wide. He's 6,300. Cook is averaging 5.5 targets per game. Believe it or not, that's his highest since 2018, right? So they're really using him a lot, even though he's getting older for that position. 7+ targets in 3 games. His 2 touchdowns in his past 3 games. And then you look at the Patriots defense. Now, they've allowed the second fewest fantasy points to tight ends, but they haven't really faced anyone, right? They faced Miami in week 1 when they weren't using Mike Gesicki for whatever reason. He wasn't in the game for whatever reason. But since then, the Jets twice, the Saints, the Bucs without Gronk, and then twice of the past 3 weeks they struggled. Houston and Dallas, they allowed combined 36 fantasy points too. So not worried about the matchup at all there. High scoring offense. Cook's been a big part of it. And again, he's 3,400. We need him to get to double digits, and we're good to go.
Yeah. That's at least definitely possible. You catch a touchdown, especially with that offense here.
Yeah. He's done that in 2 of the past 3 games, yeah.
All right, Al, let's talk about Dan Arnold, who, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's looked pretty good since coming over to the Jacksonville Jaguars, having Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback.
He's been very involved. Now, look, I kind of went out on a limb earlier this season based on the way that they are deploying Trevor Lawrence in this offense and letting him throw the ball deep downfield. That Trevor Lawrence was going to be a guy at some point, and unpredictably so, was going to probably be on a Millie Maker winner. And maybe this week is just too on the nose for him to actually be that guy, to be the Millie Maker winning quarterback. But we need value at tight end this week. I'm big on that Jacksonville offense this week, and Dan Arnold is 2,800. I mean, the reason we need value at tight end, and Mike talked about a cheap one, and you're going to mention a couple of other cheap options, and I'm obviously talking about a sub 3K guy, because there's just no cheap wide receivers available. There's no basement value that we can look at for upside, really. So we're looking forward at tight end, especially for cash games. Now, Dan Arnold has run more routes every single week since he arrived in Jacksonville. We don't need all that much to pay off the salary. And 5 times this season, a tight end has scored over 9 DraftKings points against Seattle. So this is a great spot. And, sometimes all you really have to do is believe.
Oh, my gosh. You really did prepare. I'm glad that finally it's what is this, week 9?
Yeah.
You're finally preparing for shows now here in week 9 of the
Spending
season.
the whole week writing these scripts.
There's something about this whole outfit that makes me have
Week
to be
8
dad
is
joke
week 8.
corny
Yeah.
constantly.
I love it. That's so amazing.
It's a good way to be. Love it. It fits this show.
It does. It absolutely does. Couple other tight ends real quick to get you guys out of here. Jonnu Smith, $2,800 against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, they were trying to work him in last week. What do you have? 5 targets right away, and then he got hurt. I mean, there's some name to watch.
Dan Arnold, we talked about. Rob Gronkowski, $4,600
Yes.
taking on the Saints, especially like you said. No Antonio Brown potentially. Could have him back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Beard versus the Brain is brought to you by Geico. Whether you rent or own, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Go to geico.com today. For our Week 8 head-to-head matchup, Mike, where I am winning, going into it 4-3. Just a reminder, back to the beginning of the show, it's called the throwback callback. Is that a callback?
Callback, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. TV expert.
That's not. I'm not. And listen, I don't have any preconceived biases, Mike. I know there's a lot of biases, but it's just numbers. 4 is just more wins than 3. So let us see your Week 8 lineup.
This is true. We're going to get back on track this week. We're going Teddy Bridgewater, our quarterback, of course. Got to go Teddy. Got to go Ted Lasso, Ted Bridgewater. In the quarterback slot, it's going to be a good omen this week, I believe. Darrell Henderson, going back to the Henderson right? Kind of underperformed against Detroit last week, but still, his price didn't move much. Still like him. Najee Harris, talked about him earlier. Khalil Herbert, we talked about his value. He's getting a ton of volume there for Chicago, so like him. Pretty good effort against a good Buccaneers defense last week, so I'm going to file him into the flex spot. Cooper Kupp, of course, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy coming off that injury. He's going to be busy in this one. Good matchup. Jared Cook at tight end, and going to punt defense, as is usually the case with the Jets.
Okay, I like that. All right.
What do you got? What do you got, Beard? Come on,
Well,
Coach.
I don't really like that. I'm just looking at your lineup. I just don't think maybe I should. Do you think I should start going first so that you could see the way that lineups are supposed to be put together?
Oh, yeah.
So here's what mine is. It's Jalen Hurts at 70.
What am I beating you, like 25 to 15 over the last 3 years or something?
Recency bias, Mike. I am up 4-3. Recency bias. Jalen Hurts.
Got that down. I got something right.
$7,200. I got him as my quarterback taking on the Detroit Lions. Kenneth Gainwell. I'm going to do a double stack. I'm going to double stack Kenneth Gainwell, $5,000 with Devonta Smith.
What are you doing?
I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, stacking the Eagles. I'm going to have like a 48-point lead after
with
this.
DeAndre Swift. Bringing it back with DeAndre Swift. I got DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley as a second game stack. Both of those guys should see a lot of targets. Chris Godwin, $6,400, especially with Antonio Brown being out. I've got Dan Arnold actually as my tight end.
I changed it up here.
I did change it up. I went with Dan Arnold instead. And then I've got the Washington football team taking on, listen, they're not great, but I think the Washington football team can maybe get a couple of sacks this week.
Sure. Maybe.
Punt.
I mean,
it's a punt.
They might give up 47 points, but yeah, all he needs one big play. It'll offset that.
I was trying so hard to hear that, Al, but it's just all I hear in my IFB is scoreboard. It's so weird. All right, I love you. This got weird.
Awkward.
Al, give us.
Let's hear from the head coach.
I liked your original tight end there because the Halloween narrative playing Sweeney Tom.
I thought about it. Sure.
Yeah.
For those that didn't know, I was going to go with the punt at Buffalo, understanding that if Dawson Knox is out, which it looks like
he is, yeah.
Yep. The idea that, especially against Miami.
Yeah, Tommy Sweeney's next up. Yeah, he's if you're desperate in a deep league, he's a tight end option. Certainly a punt play in DFS.
All right.
So I've got the same the same team. I've got a Hurts double stack here. Hurts to Dallas Goedert and Devonta Smith. I'm going to bring that back with DeAndre Swift. I'm playing Darrell Henderson Jr. as my other running back because he's just too cheap at $6,500. I'm going to use him in a secondary stack with Brandon Cooks. I've got T. Higgins and Manny Sanders on Buffalo because I want to have some exposure to that Buffalo offense, and Sanders has been good this year. And the Jaguars going up against Seattle on defense for $2,400. Hopefully they let Geno Smith throw a little bit more this week because that would mean that the Jaguars are going to get some sacks and turnovers.
There you go.
That would be awesome. That would be so great.
Again, as a fan, the Eagle stacks make me nervous. They do for you guys on your behalf. But Hurts has been awesome. Goddard will be fine. Smith, I don't know. Volume's good there, but I don't know. I don't know if I just see the ceiling from their skill guys right now. They've disappointed. I'm worried this might be a 16-13 sort of game, too.
It's totally possible, Mike. I think the other thing that you got to give me credit for is that I have been watching the Detroit Lions play football for a while, and I think that this is an area where they could potentially get taken advantage of. They get beat deep, and I think one of the things that you guys will be able to do, Jalen Hurts, especially as a great mobile quarterback, being able to find someone like Devonta Smith. They've struggled with pass-catching running backs, too. So, anyways, all that to say, I'm super excited. I want to say this really quickly. I took 2 days off just to have a little bit of time. It's been a rough couple of days. It was a tough weekend, and I want to encourage you guys. Mental health is really big to me. It's super important. I want to encourage you guys to know that, listen, sometimes you need to give yourself permission to say, I need to take a break. I just want to have a couple days to be able to recharge and to have a few minutes to catch a breath, and that's okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We all need that. You're not just a working machine. You are a living, breathing human with emotions and a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with it. So give yourself a break if you need to. I want to let you know you have permission to be able to do that. I appreciate all you guys being here, Kyle specifically for being able to look after the show while I was gone for those 2 days. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. There's been a ton of fun. Happy Geico-ween to both Mike and Al, who dressed up today. The rest of us on the season-long show will dress up tomorrow. But for Mike and Al, my name is Daniel. We love you guys. Don't forget to love each other. And good luck here in Week 8.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.